In this video, I lay out 3 of the most essential elements of poker strategy and highlight examples of how awareness of them can help you exploit the mistakes your opponents are consistently making at the table. Do not gamble. This video is for educational purposes only. There are 3 main types of poker mistakes: fundamental, frequency, and composition. A lot of fundamental mistakes just come from a lack of knowledge, a lack of patience, a lack of discipline, just not really even having an idea of what you're meant to be doing, and so you're just kind of doing stuff at random rather than understanding the game at a deep level. So frequency mistakes don't come from your individual hand being played badly, it comes from the distribution of all of your hands leaning too far in one direction. So this means betting too many bluffs would be a frequency mistake, so people can easily predict that you're going to be over bluffing. Putting all of your value hands into a certain line instead of distributing them throughout your strategy or being able to move them around, that could lead to frequency mistakes. So this can look like range betting out of position, where that isn't really a thing, and maybe you can justify it in a lot of circumstances as a simplification. There's nothing wrong with betting this kind of crummy hand as a bluff out of position, but if I know you're betting all your crummy hands out of position, I'm going to have an easy time exploiting you. That would be a frequency mistake. And the third category I'd invite you to reflect on is composition mistakes. So frequency is how often you're betting. Composition is what hands you have in that range. So composition is how many bluffs do you have relative to value? How many flush draws do you have relative to gut shots, relative to top pair? This is composition. So composition changes how strong your range is, how much equity you have. If I have more value and less bluffs, or more draws and less trash, this makes my range stronger. This makes my range harder to defend against. So for example, if someone c-bets the flop, over-bets the turn, with a range of mostly flush draws and value, you don't really have to do any bluff catching out of position. If someone over-bets the turn and they're capable of adding a lot of trash bluffs or checking more value to make their turn over-bet weaker, that's composition. And so again, the 3 factors are just sort of like fundamental errors, like not having a plan, frequency, how much you do a thing, and composition, what range you actually have in that betting range. These things are moving targets ultimately, like people don't actually have fixed strategies and we're all making educated guesses and just trying to range people, trying to come up with a plan. I made this video because a lot of people I talk to don't really know where to begin with study, or like they're just struggling to study. They don't trust that they know enough to be doing the work. Because it's not as simple as just like opening a solver or opening GTO Wizard and just seeing what's going on. You know, just trusting that the outputs are teaching you. So this is what you're looking for. When you look at a sim, when you play an opponent, what's their range and what are they doing with it? How often are they betting? And how can I actually model that into something? Like, how do I want to play against that? How do I actually want to respond to that? How is that showing up in the solver? Then get experimenting instead of just looking at a GTO Wizard output and going, close enough. Like, you actually can get a lot of clarity, a lot of vision, not quite certainty, but high conviction as to how people are playing and what you want to do about it. I've got some new videos in the pipework about how to actually integrate this, how to do this systematically. But I hope that now you can start asking the right questions, and by reflecting on these concepts, you'll actually start to get to the heart of where edges are coming from in poker, instead of what pseudo GTO looks like. Actually start making profit yourself.